Welcome to our crypto podcast on YouTube, where we explore the latest news, trends, and developments in the cryptocurrency industry. Whether you're, a seasoned investor, you're just starting out, this is a podcast built for everyone, guys. And our goal is to provide you with informative and engaging content to keep you up to date in this rapidly evolving space. There's so much happening week over week, so it's hard to jam pack everything into one podcast session, but we do our best. So sit back, relax, grab your cup of coffee. We got the raw milk as usual, and let's dive right into the charts. Okay, so first things first is we're going to be taking a look at the Bitcoin chart. Our last podcast was about 2 weeks ago, so things have changed, narratives have changed. We're looking at the weekly chart. Looks like we're coming back down to a major support level. We're sitting at 26,373 on Bitcoin. As you can see, each candle represents 1 week worth of trading. Last month been so boring. This is one of the most boring times right now. We're trading in this range. Nothing's really happening. We have a lot of macroeconomic stuff that we want to talk about that could be driving this market down. But yeah, as far as the TA, from a technical analysis standpoint, we're coming to a major support. So I'm still bullish. I still believe we're in a new bull market, but I'm not afraid to change my sentiment if we break below this major support level at 25,000. I don't think we'll break new lows. I just don't think that's in the cards. If we take a look at this chart, you can see we're 12 months to the halving event, and never in history has Bitcoin. Okay, so this is perfect. We're 12 months away to the halving event, and never in history of the cycle has Bitcoin marked a new cycle low. As you can see, we're going all the way back down to 2012, 2014. We have the halving events right here, the one in 2020 right here. We always have that bull market following it, and as you can see, we're 12 months away. So last cycle, look at we did wick down. Remember the coronavirus sell-off? And we quickly got bought back up. If we do make or get close to the lows, I don't see us trending around that range for much longer. The market always gets bought back up. But yeah, this is one of the most important times to start paying attention and really learning and building positions and stuff of that. But that's a cool visual right here.
Yeah, good segue into one of the topics that we want to cover too, because one of the things that's hanging over the entirety of all markets right now is the debt ceiling debacle that's going on right now. The fact that the Republicans and the Democrats can't get on the same page in regards to how they want to handle negotiations to raise the debt ceiling that we know we're going to probably end up raising eventually. The thing is, we're racing against the clock because Treasury Secretary Yellen is saying that we basically run out of money early June. And here we are, May 24th, exactly 1 week away from the end of May. And Speaker McCarthy, one of the reasons why markets tanked today, I believe, is because Speaker McCarthy went to the press and said that they're still really far apart and really no progress has been made. So they're kind of playing Russian roulette with that debt ceiling right now. I sent you a chart that showed U.S. debt ceiling has basically risen regardless of administration.
Did you email that to me?
Yeah, I did. It says the debt ceiling is a charade, and it shows a chart with the blue and the red showing the Democrat and Republican administrations. And since 1980, and basically it doesn't matter what administration, the debt ceiling is always getting raised. So the Republicans blame the Democrats blame the Republicans, and basically both sides are raising it along the way. So it isn't the fault of one side or the other. It's just the communal system that they're working in that's really the problem. So I say all that because you had said that the last cycle we saw that sell-off with Corona, and then it rocket back after that. I think if it's crazy because if you'd asked me a week ago, I would have said 0.001% chance that we default. And I still think it's super low, but I would put a single digit number on it now. I think I would go as high as maybe 5%.
Dude, if that happens, markets are going to drop. The stock market could drop 30-40%.
It won't, because they'll turn it off. So
they'll halt everything.
The stock market will halt. If it drops 7%, it'll halt. It'll drop another 7. They'll halt it, and then they'll just stop trading for the day, like they did during Corona. So that will have that stop. But Bitcoin could literally drop. We could get the new cycle low on that.
I don't think so.
We could. No, we could. Here's what I think could be a potential scenario is that everything drops, including Bitcoin. We wick down, and then money starts to flow to the sound assets. Once people catch their bearings and realize, like, all right, it happened. Now what? And then the now what kicks in. Then money floods into the sound assets. You see Bitcoin rise. You see gold rise. You see, some of the other cryptos go up as well. I think that's a potential scenario. And on the other side of that, I think if they resolve this, I think everything runs too. So I think basically whenever this gets resolved or we see the default, either or, we're going to see Bitcoin move. So even though it's been relatively dry the last couple of weeks, I think, we're going to get ready to see some action relatively quickly.
We just have to survive to anything over 20. I think 2024 is going to be very bullish, especially at the end.
Of course.
Ending of 2024.
Yeah.
If you could survive from here to here, if you don't panic sell, you say fundamentally sound, smart investing, these next 6 months are huge, dude. Like, a lot of people are going to get bored. They're going to walk away. Like, there's going to be people that held through all this, and then they say, fuck it at this part. They're like, I can't handle it. And if we do wick down, like, I think it would be a day or two, and then it'll go back up, scare the shit out of everyone. Then money will flow into those ultrasound assets. Let's take a look at it.
If we default, it's going to get ugly. Like, it's going to get, like, it'll be scary for a day or two, maybe 3 days.
Yeah.
People will just, like, because some of the things that I'm reading is we may not necessarily default, but if we get really close to it, that could still affect our credit rating.
Mm-hmm.
Which, even if we don't default, the credit rating being affected will still rattle markets. That's still a bad thing.
Yeah. Taking a look at Ether, we're sitting at 1,800. Same thing, we're at a major support. Anything under like 1412, definitely super bearish, but I'm still bullish. We're still looking strong. We're still, above all the moving averages, so that's good. Total market cap, crypto is 1.15 trillion, down 2.5% in the last 24 hours. That I like to see the total market cap, which was at 3 trillion at the peak of the bull run. Awesome. What's your favorite altcoin?
There is no second best. Michael Saylor.
All right, fair enough. All right, let's dive into some of the news. So we looked at this debt ceiling. Let's move over to the next set of news, which is Democratic president candidate Robert F. So we're gonna have to want to play this.
I don't know if I'll be able to hear it, but go ahead and play it. Actually, it's a 4 minute and 42-second clip. I don't know if you want to. I can't hear it. No, but I don't know if you want to play the whole thing because it's kind of long.
Oh, we'll just talk about it.
Yeah, because I actually watched his whole speech yesterday.
Okay,
so I can
summarize
kind of
it.
Yeah. So basically, for those that aren't familiar with Robert Kennedy Jr.'s politics, because I'm sure the last name and the first name, his father being assassinated in 1968 and all that, and his uncle being, JFK being assassinated, all that kind of stuff. RFK has been a rather progressive political figure, which makes him a weird bedfellow for many true hardcore Bitcoiners, because if they're not conservative, they would at least be libertarian, which would be quite different from what you would assume Kennedy to be. He's been really, really pro environment, like he's a really big environmentalist. So it's kind of weird at first glance to see like somebody like Kennedy, who's been so involved in like the environment talk, climate change, to like embrace Bitcoin with all these narratives out there. So he's like the perfect candidate, at least optically speaking. I don't know if with every issue would actually be the president, but he's a good face to be out there stomping for us to speak on. He said in his speech that, a lot of the information out there about Bitcoin and the environment is just not true. And this is coming from a really pro-environment guy. Like, he's on that side. He's ESG guy, climate change, like helping the environment. He's done more than most people in the country to help push that narrative. But he recognizes that although there are some harmful mining effects of mining Bitcoin, that a lot of it is just not true. There is a lot of Bitcoin that's being mined green, which we've talked about. We did a whole episode on it. We've covered that like ad nauseum. So he's an important voice to be speaking on, a lot of the FUD and the stuff that's just not true about what Bitcoin mining is. And then he's also, for all the progressive, natures of his thought process in politics, he's really like anti-big government, which is weird from a Democrat. He's running Democrat, and he's kind of like, we should have some privacy, and our money should be like private. And he talked self-custody. Like, he spoke probably more intelligently about Bitcoin than a lot of people that have been in Bitcoin since the last bull run. Like, he spoke very eloquently, and he definitely did his homework. I don't think he's just clout chasing, because he doesn't really have to. I mean, he's got the Kennedy last name. I mean, he doesn't need all this to be doing it. So he does things that I think he believes in, and he believes in Bitcoin. And he's a really good candidate for those of us. And I put a video out the other day. So I stamped my flag in the ground that I'm a one issue voter. Like, if you're anti-Bitcoin, I'll never vote for you. I don't care, if you're Donald Trump. I don't care if you have the greatest conservative principles, because I'm a fiscal conservative, but I'm not a Republican. But even if you're a fiscal conservative and you're anti-Bitcoin, you don't get my vote. So for those of us that are really searching for a candidate that really identifies with what we feel is the most important aspect of living, which is, the money, like protecting the money and the safety and the self-custody aspects, he really fits the bill, man. And there's some things that, still I disagree with him on, but the Bitcoin thing, like, he gets it, man. He definitely gets it. And he's the first candidate. You can see it up there, that QR code. He's the first presidential candidate to accept Bitcoin for donations.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Is that looks like Don's Democratic this cycle?
Well, I don't really like to honestly, the sad part is I don't even think I don't think he sniffs the nomination. I don't think I don't think they're going to allow Biden to debate him, because I think he would smoke Biden. I think most people would smoke Biden anyways, but I think, Kennedy has the progressive roots that Biden tried to, embody. And he's hitting both sides in a world where we're so polarized. Like, he speaks to both sides, and I don't think that's a candidate that either side wants to push out right now.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes actually a lot of sense. Someone that's more like fair and like plays both sides.
And the reality is that the populace as a whole is not looking for a unifying candidate. Like, you got your hardcore MAGA Trumpers, and you got your hardcore, left-wing liberals. And I'm not here to say one is right and one is wrong. I can just tell you what I believe in and how I see things. But I don't think that right now in this climate we're really looking for somebody. We might say that we are, but dude, go on Twitter and just scroll, and you can see how, like, polarizing. People are just looking for, echo chambers and identity politics. And I think we need somebody like Kennedy, somebody that thinks like on both sides to unify us, but I don't know if we're ready for that.
Yeah. Wow. Awesome. So
and on that really quick, he wasn't the only one to speak at the Bitcoin conference. Tulsi Gabbard, who's also running, she spoke pro Bitcoin, and Vivek Ramusky, I might be butchering his name. He's another candidate on the Republican side who also is pro Bitcoin and also spoke. So we had three potential presidential candidates speaking at Bitcoin 2023 this past weekend. That's huge. Yeah. That's really huge.
That's really big. All right, moving on to the next set of news, which is a lot of FUD in the market, is the Ledger Recover thing. And honestly, it got me by surprise, with this 24-word seed, how you say not your keys, not your coin?
Yeah.
What do you think about that now?
Well, I mean, it's crazy because there's, like, we talk about this, like, there's always going to be bad actors, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm not labeling Ledger necessarily as a bad actor.
Every Ledger or every device could do this. Treasure, Grid Plus, because it's a firmware update. All they have to do is have a new software update where you have to KYC your private to get your assets. just one firmware update away. You don't have the beauty thing about it is you could confirm it. You don't have to do the firmware update, but it might get to a point where you have to, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I've never used a Ledger and a Trezor. I don't use those, so you can
You
speak
think
more.
paper wallets are the best?
You can speak more eloquently than I can. The wallet that I've used to self custody, I've used since 2018, actually since 2017, and I've had no issues. It's not tied to my name. I got a 12-seed passcode. I got a spending passcode. I have like 3-factor authentication. I sleep well with how I custody my Bitcoin. I actually, it's crazy because I was actually probably a couple weeks ago contemplating getting a hardware wallet just because it's like, oh, everybody else is doing it. I might as well just jump in. And then I'm like, oh, why reinvent the wheel? I've been doing this for so long, and I've been through so many cycles with how I custody it, and there's never been issues. There's never even been rumblings on on what I use. You know what I mean? Anything you search on what I use is good. So I don't know. I guess in retrospect, I'm glad I didn't. I'm just keeping it the way that I keep it.
If you were to do something, I would recommend a Treasure. This one, $70.
Yeah.
They're very reputable. Another thing to keep in mind is these ledgers. Yeah, I think that's insane. The good thing about it is they're open sourcing the firmware updates, so you'll be able to see everything. But like how they did it and approached it was a little sketch. It's like, dude, they knew it was like this forever. They never talked about it though because they don't want you to think like.
Of course, it's a business. They don't want to lose customers. Yeah. But here's the other thing too, like that has existed, right? But why have we not heard of like just mass exodus of Bitcoin from people who are self custodying on their, like, we just don't hear it. So if it exists, why is it not being hacked, or why is it not, you know what I mean? There's that piece too. Like, and again, I'm not as hip to the hardware game as you are, so I'm not going to try to pretend and speak eloquently about it. But it's just like, I've been around so long in this space, and I've heard of all the hacks and and it's like, you can't hack Bitcoin. You can't hack the network. It's open source. And you know, when you have the 12 seed or the 24 seed, in order to hack that passphrase, it would take like tens of thousands of years to hack that passphrase with using every word that's out there. And it's like, if there are these back doors, then why haven't they been exploited when the price has gone from $200 a coin when I first got involved all the way up to 60 something thousand, if it's that easy? Like, there's a huge financial motivation for somebody to exploit that, even for a couple of coins. I mean, you're talking like $500,000 if you want to take 8 or 9 coins at the peak. You know what I mean? Like,
they're good at securing how they do it.
Yeah. So I mean, it is maybe something to look at and to talk about and to be aware of, but to think that it's like, yeah, I mean, like, at this, like, it's the thing, like, everybody's worried about these hacks, and it's like, bro, like, we've gone from, like, we're talking about an asset that went from literally less than a penny 13, 14 years ago to a top out of 70K. Like, the greediest people in the world would have gotten their hands on and just stolen as much as they could have stolen up until this point. And they did on the places where there were vulnerabilities, right? Mm-hmm. They exploited Mt. Gox. They exploited FTX. They exploited Celsius. You know, they've exploited the DAO hack. Like, when hackers will find the penetratable holes, and they'll penetrate them. Like, that's what they do. They've done it all the way along the way. So if it's as bad as they were like making it sound, like, we would have heard of like mass exodus of Bitcoin from people's hardware wallets. Like, and we did it. Like, it wasn't a thing. If it's there, somebody's going to take it. That's just greed. It's human nature. But again, that's just my opinion, and I'm just one guy.
Yeah. I've been having headaches lately. Maybe it's from the dopamine. I'm not getting the dopamine. You know what I mean?
You need the hits?
Yeah, like, you get a boom, dopamine rush. Boom, dopamine rush. You're on top of the world. And it's like, This is just like depression. It's just like I got nothing to look forward. No, I'm kidding. There's more than life than crypto, but you know what I mean? Like it's just choppy and it's like I mean, I've been still buying. Like I bought 2 days ago, but like I just wanted to either make a big leg down so I can just go. I only have a little bit of buying power left, man. Like I think like I got something's got to happen.
Patience,
Yeah,
patience. Got to be patient.
patience.
Got
Yeah.
to be patient. We got to keep educating people because, people are still. I meant to send you another video too. I sent it to your Facebook Messenger. I didn't send it by email. I want to hit on that real quick too because it was another video that went viral from the Bitcoin conference. Pretty large influencer. I've seen him on BitBoy's show. I've seen him on other people's shows, and he has his own channel. His name's Hotep Jesus. He's actually been on mainstream financing shows as well. So he's got some clout. He's a very knowledgeable guy. His work is pretty good. His content is good, but he said something that I just fundamentally disagree with. He talked about they were talking about Ledger, what we just talked about here, and the conversation kind of went to. And this is a guy that's been in the space for a long time. He said that he hopes that somebody comes along that will do self custody for us that we can trust, hold accountable, kind of some sort of FDIC type insurance thing is kind of what I was getting the gist of that he was saying, but more so that the space can never grow if we just expect everybody to self custody, that we kind of come up with another layer between exchanges, self custody, and something that's kind of in the middle.
Ledger Recover could be that.
And I don't agree with that. Like and again, the whole point of Bitcoin's creation was to like be your own bank and to take control of your money, right? Mm-hmm. So if I'm still relying on somebody else to take control of my money, do I even need Bitcoin? Like what am I doing? Right?
Yeah.
Like I'm speaking from a place where I've self-custodied my Bitcoin for over half a decade. So I don't have any Bitcoin on exchange.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with people that do, because that's part of the learning process. But the longer that you're in this, right? The more that you learn about Bitcoin, and when you truly are taking the time to learn, like you get rather quickly to the place that we're doing this because like the money needs to be fixed. The money's broken. So in order to fix the money is I have to take control of my money. If I'm keeping my Bitcoin on Coinbase or Gemini or, Exchange X, like it's the same thing as me having my money in the bank and dealing with that Ponzi scheme, right? I'm trusting the bank to be a good actor when I know that they're not. And I've already seen FTX, Celsius, Three Arrows Capital, Mount Gox. Like I've seen all these exchanges explode and implode and be just run into the ground. Why would I want to take another, even if it's another layer closer to self-custody, why am I still putting my faith in another actor when I should just be me? Like I need to be responsible. Mm-hmm. I need to be accountable. Yes, people can lose their passphrase and passseed, but like what's more important than your money and your finances, right? If you can't get that right, what's the point? I don't get it. Like I just, I responded and people were going back and forth and, I'm assuming that people that have not been in as long, the whole self-custody thing can kind of be overwhelming. And, I had a friend over and I was showing him and he was just like, kind of like, I was basically starting him at zero and showed him how to get onto Gemini, did that. Then I took the next step to kind of like briefly like soft brush of what self-custody was. And I literally talked for like 2 minutes and he was like, bro, the Gemini thing was enough. We'll get to that at another point. So it's a layer of like, and again, this is the passion that we have. This is why we're here. We're here to help educate people. And it's okay to use Cash App. It's okay to use Coinbase when you're first getting in and learning and transacting and seeing how things work. But you really should be putting the time into, understand what Bitcoin is and what it represents. And as you go down that path, if you don't get this, let me say this. If you don't get to the place where you want to self-custody it, Bitcoin's probably not for you.
Yeah. You're better off just buying a tech stock at that point.
Go buy Apple, go buy Netflix, or go buy shitcoin X and lose your money because you're just doing it for price and you're probably not going to do that right either.
Yeah. So let's look at this chart. Bitcoin dominance back to a yearly low. and we have volatility at a yearly low. Potentially could be the bottom. You know, I was gonna.
I think we're kind of waiting to see this debt ceiling stuff. I think the debt ceiling uncertainty has everything paused right now.
What's your thoughts on that Beak Ben coin? What even is that? I'm not paying
You know,
attention.
so basically, there was a coin created by ETH.Ben. That's his Twitter handle. I'm not sure
Not Ben
who he
Armstrong.
is. No, Ben Armstrong BitBoy bought the coin from ETH.Ben. They made a deal where Ben Armstrong BitBoy was going to take it over. So I watched the live stream today, and he was talking about how his plans are to keep everything, all the addresses public, so he's not like selling the coins. He made an agreement allegedly with the public that he won't sell any coins until at least after the halving, and if he does, it's only a certain percentage that he can sell. And his goal, so he says, but he hasn't shown the roadmap yet, is he's using this Ben coin to help on ramp people to crypto. I'm not sure how he's going to do that, but that's his alleged passion for this coin. But he can't talk price because he's an influencer, so it's outside looking in. Completely, we're on the low end of the influencer scale, but we are trying to be influencers. We do have a little bit of an audience. So I don't want to get too murky in the waters, but like when you have a huge platform like he does, he's the biggest in the space. Like even when you're not trying to manipulate anything, which I don't think that he is, even when you still are just by being involved in talking about it. It hit an all-time high today. Like when he made that deal, the coin at one point it was up like 101%, right? Because he's a huge influencer. His name's Ben, and he buys Ben coin, and people like YOLO into that. And it's the same thing. I made a video about a couple weeks ago where he was like endorsing Pepe coin. Like when you're a big name, like if let's say like in the future me and you have like a million subscribers and people are watching us, and I make up a Don coin, or somebody has a Don coin and I go buy the Don coin. You know what I mean? And just by me talking about it and saying I'm getting involved, I can pump the price. And I'm not trying to do it necessarily, or my intention may not be to do such. We may just be having a conversation about it, right? Just talking about the coin will bring, light to it because there's clicks and views on the video that we talk about it. So I just think and again, I always have to say this because I've been following him for a long time. I'm a fan, but like I think he gets a little bit muddy in the waters sometimes with, some of his things that he does and says. I think his heart's in the right place. He's very passionate. I think he does things for the right reasons. I don't think he's a scammer. I know people say that. He does shitcoin. He's not Bitcoin only. Our philosophies are different. But I think genuinely, a backstory on him too. Like he's in recovery. Like he was an I don't know if you know this about him. Yeah. He was an addict.
What kind of addict?
I believe heroin, crack, and meth. Like 15 or 16 years ago. Like hardcore addict. And he's been sober for like 15, maybe 16 years. So he's got that recovery background. He was a counselor. Did what we have a similar like background, you know what I'm saying? Without me not being an addict, but me being, a recovery counselor for the past 13 years. And the way his like eccentric like nature and how he like operates, like I can identify, I see that like in patients that I have. And he's very passionate. And addicts, when they get their lives together, can be some of the most motivating people and motivated people. So to see him go from like the depths of like addiction and in the gutter to 1.5 million people follow him on YouTube and being the biggest influencer in the space, dude, that's awesome. Like I can't do nothing but like applaud that. And that's a huge accomplishment. And part of who he is comes out in all of this. And I think sometimes he gets lost in that and it comes across to some people like he's some scammer. And I don't think he is. I just think that he's very passionate, and sometimes he murkies the water because this is all new. Like this being a huge influencer in crypto is only, he got to 1 million followers like 2.5 years ago. So I mean, it's not like he's been a celebrity all his life. So it's like, how do you navigate those waters? So I do give him passes on those things, and I think people should if they're thinking of it in a logical way. But I just, again, to get back to talking about the Bencoin stuff, like I just don't agree with what he's doing with that.
Yeah.
That was super long-winded. My bad.
No, it's all good. I learned a lot because I didn't know that about him. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
man. Like people, I don't think a lot of people do know that about his history.
How did you find
I
out
know
about
that because
that?
I've been following him for a long time. Like
Did he post
he's
about
been in
it?
the space. He's been in the space pre this last bull run. Like he was making videos in 2018, 2019. Like I've seen the videos. Like I he had a smaller following, maybe like 10, 12, 13,000 people back when I first even knew who he was.
Yeah. Wow. Awesome. Yeah. So this is gonna wrap it up here. Are there like anything last minute thoughts you want to add? Anything you want to talk about?
Well, Bitcoin 2023 just wrapped up this past weekend. They announced that next year it'll be in Nashville. It's the first year that it won't be in Miami in the last three, I believe. Um, there was a lot of talk about El Salvador and what they're doing there. A lot of people prominent in the space are moving there. I don't know if you heard Jack Mullers, who's behind Strike, is getting ready to move to El Salvador. Max Kaiser already lives
Okay.
there, and there's just a lot of really really good things going to El Salvador. And I think for me at least, like I've talked about before, Dubai being like the top spot that I want to visit on my bucket list, and I think a very close number two is going to be El Salvador. I think as a Bitcoiner, it's kind of like that pilgrimage to Mecca because I mean, it's the center of like the Bitcoin universe right now is kind of really going on in El Salvador. And
Mm-hmm.
Bukele, the president, is like all in. And it's been nothing but positive for that small country's GDP
Mm-hmm.
and economy since they moved to Bitcoin. Like it really, people just don't understand because we're in the United States and we're spoiled, like how much positive stuff has happened in that country from their crime rates to the all the geopolitical stuff. It's kind of going under the radar to the mainstream media, and I don't think they want to cover it because if they do, then they have to acknowledge that Bitcoin has a lot to do with it. So, it was shown a light on again this past weekend, and it was cool to see like live stream. Bitcoin Magazine live streamed it. There's a ton of clips on YouTube to watch it. If you're in this space, I recommend like doing that research. There was all the major speakers, Saylor, Greg Foss, like all the guys, Maulers, Kaiser, they all spoke, as well as the three presidential candidates I spoke about earlier. And I think that's about it.
I think people don't appreciate crypto as much as people in third world countries that don't have.
100%.
Yeah, like Nigeria, they have a $42 limit. Like that's insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's terrible. That's frightening.
Yeah.
So, all right, man. That was a great session. Leave us a like, comment, subscribe. Give us some feedback. We're always looking to grow, build out this channel. That's why we're here. We have an Instagram, we have LinkedIn, we have TikTok. So we have shorter form content, we got longer form content. Whatever fits your guys' attention spans.
Don't trust, verify.
And don't do ledger recover. Awesome. All right, man. Good one today.
All right. All right.
All right. See ya.
Later.